That's. I don't know why I went live. I was thinking to myself, don't go live yet. You don't have your microphone plugged in. You're not ready. Hey, look, I color coded it. I was looking at my face and how I did everything right, and I didn't make YouTube crash on my way to turning it on today. And still, my face is pivoted the wrong way. This is not anything I am doing wrong. Mic is connect. Mic is connected. Controller is not. It's not anything I'm doing wrong. I don't understand why YouTube's product sucks so bad. You would think that with all the competition they actually do have, what with Twitch and TikTok existing, that YouTube's product would suck significantly less. But here we are. I've made my bed. I chose YouTube. All right, let's get reacquainted with what the fuck we're doing. We're probably going to want to change. God damn this game. Okay. Moving on. Never mind getting it reacquainted with that. Now, my time management sucks today. That's where we should start. I was talking with my producer, Mr. S, the other day. He wants to develop games, and that's cool. I want to develop games. We're interested in totally different things developmentally. That's cool. That's the kind of thing an adult man can get excited about. Anyway, and we were talking about directing your players where to go next, especially in a 3D open world environment. And so now this is a 3D open world environment. And I was talking last night. He was talking to me about how he liked my discussion last night about the difference in an open world and a Metroidvania game, especially when you're talking about in a 3D space or in a game like an RPG, like a JRPG. And so, like, a big difference in this and a Western RPG of the time is that in a Western RPG, like Daggerfall, for instance, like the old Elder Scrolls games, you can go anywhere the hell you want. There are no gates on where you can get. You don't need certain things to get into certain places to do certain things. And now that changes. That can be affected by side quests. Now, if you get side quests are gated and they can yada, yada, yada. This is not that kind of a game. This is much more like Castlevania or like Metroid or like the original Zelda than it is like that. They're the same thing in that they're RPGs, you're role playing, but this and that you're based around a Dungeons and Dragons style of character development, right? But you're not really doing any kind of skill checks. And Western RPGs are much more interested in the skill checks than they are in the combat. You'll know that if you followed the conversation around the most recent Baldur's Gate, or if you know anybody who likes those particular kind of RPGs. Like Mass Effect is much more, when you're talking about role-playing game, what people are wanting from a Bethesda, Bethesda too, but what I meant to say is BioWare, when you're talking about like why Mass Effect was so big, is because Mass Effect was a third-person rail shooter like Gears of War or something like that, that had extended role play sections where you're doing all these skill checks to determine how the story plays out, and the pass or fail of the skill check and the necessarily random nature of skill checks when you're talking about dice rolls. That's what determines the playthrough. That's what determines replayability, right? And so I don't want to criticize anybody. I don't want to say you're playing them wrong, but you're playing them wrong. Okay, from my perspective, from the perspective of talking like somebody who plays games, damn it, to understand how they were developed and to critique the decisions that were made by the developers. I know they're in the back row, and no, they're not on this. God damn it! Why is this happening so much in my playthroughs? She's in the back row. They're supposed to avoid her in their decision making. But no, instead, let's attack her 4 times in a row. I don't remember what I was talking about. Critiquing games for their design decisions. Like we want to be designers. Like we think of ourselves as designers. And like, that gets me to really what I want to talk about just throughout the course of the day today is the word design. It's what I woke up thinking about. It's what I fell asleep thinking about. But before I stressed myself out with Mandy's stupid ass getting herself killed, I have all day. I'm live. We have all day to get there. I'm not stressing myself out about it. We're talking about guiding your players to the next narrative section. Well, what's the next thing that they need to do? And so in a game like Elder Scrolls, what they give you is big mountains or big forests or big open plains that have things inside them. Right? So like caves or dungeons or tombs. I played 350 hours of Oblivion. Elder Scrolls, was that 4? I didn't like Morrowind enough. It was such an ugly game. Oblivion was an ugly game, but it was the only game that we had on the PlayStation 360, and I had just torn through Final Fantasy 12. Okay, so anyway, how do you guide your players to what to do next? Okay, how do you guide your players to what to do next? So we walk out of this cave, and we see some grass, we see a blighted wasteland, and then draw distances, right? Draw distances. What can we see? And so you have to put what to do next somewhere within your draw distance. This, when you're talking about a 3D space and you're talking about a role-playing game where you're really trying to recreate the feeling of being these characters and the roles that they're playing. And so the role that you're playing by 1997, this is the conversations that I'm projecting onto just development in general, especially within Sony, and especially when you're talking about Sony was already flirting with creative experimentation across the Sony and Enix. Am I saying Sony? Square. Every time I said Sony in the recent past, I meant Square. Square is already in-house talking about flirting with and have already, experimented with that flirtation with the Square and Enix divide, because they were the two JRPG supergiants at the time. When they made Chrono Trigger, I think that was 96. That might have been the same year this was ultimately released, same calendar year. Different platform cycles, but I don't think so. I think it went Final Fantasy 6, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 7 as far as Sony's Square's releases. Okay, and we've talked about this in our Chrono Trigger videos, that Chrono Trigger was a joint effort between the Enix super developers of Dragon Quest and some of the Square developers of Final Fantasy. Some. Okay. So directing your players to what to do. You have draw distances, and I keep spinning the map and opening it like this. You can't spin it while it's isometric like that. So so this is what we used to see. This is what we're used to seeing. They give you this map because this is how we used to run around, right? This looks like Final Fantasy 1, this looks like Chrono Trigger, right? So what do you see? You see a lot of empty grass, okay? Triangle or X, depending on your circle or your circle. I was pressing circle. Depending on your controller preset, your face buttons should always change to the next party member. Chrono Trigger was experimenting with being able to do that, but by using the shoulder buttons, they were experimenting with using the shoulder buttons in a JRPG. Like, what can we assign these to? They they made a bad choice. It's annoying, the choice they made. We'll get out of this combat and we'll go back to talking about what you can see. These combats they're a little bit more difficult by design. Design again, right? We're talking about things being by design, things being on purpose, right? So on purpose, things being purposeful. I'm talking a little bit like my buddy Magic Shadow, because that's how he talks. But that's also how our generation was taught to associate ideas. We were taught the William James method of free association, but we weren't ever taught what it was called or that we were doing it. And free association is something that he developed out of his research into the varieties of religious experience. So anyway, first thing we see when they come out of this cave is what? I don't know what the hell that is, but it's something. So we're going to run toward it. It seems to be a tower of some sort. Maybe a macro reactor, from what we know of what those look like from... I've never spent this long looking at it. From the flashbacks with... What do we call her? Titsa, Cloud, Sephiroth. And some sort of bird, like a giant golden bird of some sort. We've been fighting the Shinra on this battlefield for a long time. We've still settled in for a long war with them. Could you spare some time and help us fight them? We don't want to sound pushy, so if you're busy with something, why don't you finish that first? Where's Junon? I ask. Let's see. Head north along the coast, keep going a ways, and you'll run into Junon. But be alert because it sits in the shadow of a small hill. Oh, wait. We're following the CIA. What are they called? The Turks. Hey, yeah, I'll help you. There's nothing that Shinra's doing that we're so far behind. Really? Then go on up and they'll fill you in on the details. We're rebels at heart. If Barrett were leading the party, Magnumgo were leading the party, there would be absolutely no way that we could skip this section. So, even though he's in the party and he didn't jump out and offer dialogue like a role-playing game would do to someone like Cloud, who's supposed to be a silent protagonist, Final Fantasy VII is trying to break away from that because we, the Western audience, criticized Japanese RPG makers for doing too much of that in games like Chrono Trigger, where the characters jump out to say redundant shit about what's happening that we can see to Chrono because he's the silent protagonist. Okay, well, we're exclaiming as it's happening. So if they don't have anything if they don't have anything meaningful to offer, they don't need to jump out of my backpack to talk to me. You see what I'm saying? This is why later games, Western RPGs, and then later JRPGs offer you the ability to talk to your party member as the silent protagonist or as the shepherd, so to speak. You think that N is a typo? Now this is something. I never would have thought anyone would ever climb up here. Sometimes my eyes move words up out of the wrong lines. I was very confused by that sentence. Your eyes are different. Well, anyhow, any minute now, this will be a battlefield against Shinra. I can't tell if that's an old man, a woman. I don't know what that chunk of pixels is supposed to be. You'd better get down before you get involved. And the thing is, I'm actually enjoying playing these old games on my screen rather than on my phone screen. I'm playing on my phone, obviously, rather than on a giant television screen, because my phone screen is about the size of the televisions we had in the 90s. Shinra? The hell those jackasses doing here? What do you mean, a battlefield? It appears you have a problem with Shinra, too. After all, you climbed up here. I was just talking about this. That should have happened before we agreed to help. You see what I'm saying? You see how they're getting these call and responses backward? It's because this didn't used to be optional. and then they didn't go back and fix anything because they were behind schedule. Why not listen to what I have to say for a moment? He shouldn't have said, I shouldn't have stressed that. Do you know what's up at the top of this mountain? Huh? Something up there? A huge bird, Mandy says. The reactor and the condor. That's right. On that mountain is a condor and a reactor. It seems the Shinra doesn't like the idea of having a condor on top of the reactor. And now we're back to swapping Shinra and the Shinra. He called him Shinra, and now he's saying the Shinra. Which is it? Damn, that's one big bird. Well, why are they get there? Why are they trying to get rid of it with weapons? What a stupid question. Why? It seems there's some type of special materia in the reactor above us. And because the Condor came, the Shinra rushed troops here. The military wants to get the Condor and all the villagers off this mountain. Oh my god, it's putting me to fucking sleep. The Condor is now warming its egg, which hatches only every few years. We would like to protect the Condor from being harmed. New lives. Why did Shags say that? I'll do it. I'll protect them from Shinra. He doesn't call him the Shinra, and well. We must protect the Condor egg, right? Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to fight Shinra ourselves. That's why we have hired soldiers to help us. As our sponsor, you can help us with a contribution or by fighting alongside us. What do you think? You want to join us in our fight? What's there to think about? We gotta do it. Shags, why are you still worrying about it? I'm interested. Yes, let's do our best. But we want to have more than 4K gil because that's just not enough. We're going to stock up here. And so again, this didn't used to be optional, right? You can tell that by the design that they made it optional once you got inside, but it used to be the only thing here. So it wasn't optional. They stuck it here because it's the only thing here. And you need to go somewhere to learn where Junon is. I gotta fix this. The fucking sound design in these ports, man. What did I just do? Piss myself off. I bought a fire. Yeah, see, I know I bought 2 ice. Maybe I clicked the confirm and I didn't actually have the money. I do that, as you notice, a lot. All right, there's a whee. Let's run around. That is what I wanted to do, game. Whee! And so this game did a good enough job, right? It did adequate for the time. That's not what we're examining right now. When we're playing this now, we're playing it at, ooh, okay. Let's rest, okay? I feel like there should be an awake adult down here with a weapon to make sure that you guys don't do anything untoward. She doesn't know you guys. I mean, you've been sleeping on the road in a tent together for a while, but there were other adults and a dog. Whee! That's what I want to happen every time. I'm doing that on purpose. No, I am not. So remember when I was talking earlier in the game, I was talking earlier in our playthroughs about how in the initial dungeon, the tutorial dungeon, it tells you, hey, if you hit select, it'll show you where the zone lines are, and it'll show you where ladders are. That's inconsistent as fuck. We appreciate when it happens, but it's inconsistent as fuck. Now, we're not going to trust that this port has an autosave. We're just not going to trust that, not for a minute, and we've got some grinding to do, and I'm not super worried about it. Because that's what the game is effectively telling you. You come out of here, you see that. We didn't do a very good job of telling you that it's optional. It's totally optional. It's not obviously optional because it's the only thing we can see. And so we're going to go to it to ask them, hey, where the hell is Junon? They didn't tell us. And I'm sure he did tell us, but I don't remember what he said. I remember vaguely where it is, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter from the standpoint of our skills that we've gained from playing Final Fantasy I and Chrono Trigger. Because of the gated nature of this style, Japanese style of RPG, we're not going to be able to wander to the wrong town. Now, that is in response, I'm fairly certain, to the initial Dragon Quest, which I haven't played. And so if you climb up in my comments, the chat is on so you can all get acquainted with one another. I cannot see this until I have I cannot see the chat until I have 1,000 subscribers on my channel. So if you want to interact with me, you're going to have to come back. Thank you for doing so. Climb in my comments. You're going to have to subscribe to the Patreon, where at $50 a month or higher, and after establishing my trust, you will probably get access to my phone number, because that's just the easiest way to do it right now. Or you can make a and moderate and devote your life to the Shaggy Dog Discord channel, which I can maybe make an exception to my do not disturb rule, so I'll be able to see the chat in that way. But I'm not going to that effort. You need to understand that that's not an act of defiance. I'm not going to that effort because I'm not going to manage something that's going to sit empty for another year. I should have opened with this, but today marks a year. Today is my year anniversary as no, it doesn't. Today marks my 2-year anniversary as a YouTuber. So happy 2-year anniversary to me. And if I had gotten ambitious, to say the least, and made a Discord channel, it would have sat empty for 2 years. So I'm not putting myself through that misery. I have a Twitter that goes unvisited, except by people whose channels I would really prefer never to see. Not channels, but whatever those are called, profiles. I just really never choose to see. For now, that's for you. I made a little bit of money yesterday. I made enough money to afford to relieve my weed anxiety. So I'm going to relieve my weed anxiety. And knowing that I'm going to relieve my weed anxiety is why I'm not sitting here and anxiously puffing on it while we play it, trying to get my memory back about what we're talking about. I feel no anxiety right now. I feel exhaustion, and I feel like I'm going to need to take a shit soon. And I feel like my stomach is full of sour cream and onion potato chips because I woke up in the middle of the night, couldn't fall back to sleep, so I ate a bag of chips until I fell back to sleep. I'm ashamed of that. But I forgot why I opened the menu, so I just immediately closed it. And then I remembered why I opened the menu. I do that so often. And so this game, like Chrono Trigger, is a game where we're not super duper concerned with what level our dudes are. We're much more worried about grinding maximum. We're about finding fights that give us really good AP, and we're concerned with that's what we're concerned with. I don't know why I thought there was a second thing there. No, we're just trying to grind AP for our materia. That was the second thing. We're worried about the level of our materia, not so much the level of our characters. I play these games differently. It's not so much about the grinding to get our materia to an exploitatively high level. No, we're just trying to hit certain gateways and certain benchmarks, and we want to have Bolt 2 on and all materia before we arrive at the next spot. If we don't have that, we just haven't spent enough time engaging with the game as it exists. And we largely skipped the engaging with the game as it exists as we looked for calm with no indicator of where it is. He just said, find us in calm, because the characters all know where it is. So they're trying to maintain, um, they're trying to maintain, that's called not suspension of disbelief, but engrossment, basically. But that's not what people say. They don't say I'm engrossed in this game. Immerse. That maintains immersion because everybody knows where calm is. Everybody but Mandy. And so Mandy's not leading the party. And so what she's not going to do is go, where's calm? So that the player knows. They're doing their best to not break the fourth wall and speak directly to the player. And so at the time, that to me was enough. It remains enough. In fact, not speaking directly to me is something that I really value in these games from Chrono Trigger, from having played so much of Chrono Trigger as a kid. I didn't beat it, but I played enough of it to know that when it was condescending to me, I find that annoying. So like freaking out last night about that puzzle that Luca solved for me and it taking all the satisfaction out of that last section of the game and just throwing my hands down at my sides and being like, God damn it. Not having anything on these things to steal is it's just a bummer to me. I don't love that. I was going to say it's a super bummer to me. It is a super bummer to me. All right. It's starting to get warm out today. It's been nice and chilly. That's part of why my day has taken so long. I might have said that my time management sucks. I could have said that my time management today sucks. Wow, our guild gain out here is bad. We're going to be doing this on this section for a while. We need to find some place with more enemies that just spawns more bullshit than one thing at a time. Woods are usually good for that. Bow, 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 bow. Baby, 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 baby. We have no reason not to. That needs to go. How do we get rid of that? We have no reason not to use AoE on these fights. I will talk someday in the future about why I have to remind myself that we have no reason not to use AoE when we have it available. I'm not using the summon because it's just so expensive. But I will talk in the future about why I remind myself of that so frequently. But now is not the time because it's irrelevant to what we're experiencing. And what I'm trying to do is focus on the experience we're having as we're having it, that we're having. The authentic Final Fantasy VII experience is what I'm trying to give to you. Because when I look around, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I talked with my producer about it. And so I like to extend the conversations that we have because he's as cognitively tired as I am, and he's not nearly as talkative as I am. So I like to extend our conversations here so he can hear them and see how they've affected him. And, you know, I can manipulate you into realizing that's the product I'm selling you. The product I'm selling you on my Patreon and with close interaction with me. You're not going to get that in very many other creators because most creators try to keep their influences hidden or secret to themselves. They don't want to know their influences. They don't want to be aware that they're influenced, and they don't want anybody else to see their influences on their sleeve. That's why we're talking. I spend so much time talking about the difference in Japanese and Western. What's that word? Not sensitivities. Anyway, tendencies isn't the word I mean. Preferences isn't really the word I mean either. Proclivities is the word I'm looking for. And so the proclivity in the West, I've talked about this a little bit, is to not. I said that wrong. The west of me is Japan, and so it's hard for me to think of myself as west of the Middle East. Anyway, in the East, in Japan specifically, yet there are these ideas that art isn't art unless it's stolen. So without trope and without cliche, it's just not art. And I respect that. I do respect that. That's why when I see it happening, I call it out. And in Eastern art, like video games, I don't bitch about it. But in Western art, I do, because that is not how we're supposed to do Western art. If you're going to show your references or your influences, that's called homage. And so I really genuinely believe that Centaur World is one of the greatest things ever made, because it combines those two sensibilities. That's what I was looking for, not proclivities, sensibilities. It combines those two sensibilities, those two artistic tendencies together in a really, really unique and beautiful way, and genuinely hilarious, frankly. We like funny. Now, this, even though these animations are fairly long, this game, for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is actually, the ooh, length of the animations doesn't bother me. The camera is dynamic enough. Um, the colors are flashy enough. The color palette is nice enough. The three-dimensional arena that we're fighting on is three-dimensional enough, right? The things happening are they're visually captivating enough that I like looking at them. I don't feel that about Chrono Trigger. I don't like watching Chrono Trigger's fights, but you have to, or you will wipe. Fuck, man. You are just using up all of my heals. You guys are hitting me hard. You guys are hitting me so hard. You don't like how hard they're hitting me, guys. Hit me for less damage. That happens. They hit you for less damage when you gain levels. So when I said we're not really worried about our level, we're not really worried about our level. We're not thinking about it. This is what I'm thinking about. We've gained 400, and this is kind of why I keep Chocomog or Sense in my inventory. Cover, for sure. I keep these in my inventory. Not necessarily, or not in my inventory. I keep them equipped, especially on Cloud/Shags, so I can gauge how much AP we actually are gaining. How are we doing? We're doing all right. Moving right on along. Yeah, that's gonna take forever. Aha! I knew a mistake was being made somewhere. I could just sense it. I had this tingling in my testicles, like something was going wrong. Ah, fuck me dead. I didn't know that. Well, yeah, you should be wearing that. Okay. Oh, fuck. I wanted the isometric for this, so we can trace the outline of this forest. Ooh. The sun leaking in out there is bright on mine eyes. And the beautiful thing is that I started this about 90% battery. Oh, CashApp is informing me that I owe them money. I'm at 70% now. I don't want to look at those notifications while I'm screen grabbing, just in case they are tips from people who don't want the world to know they're tipping me. I don't know that that's a thing that I'm going to encounter. I don't know. But I choose to protect people's anonymity as best as possible. I started to say anonymity. Just all of the different ways that you can stress those vowels. I don't know if anybody else would call it a speech impediment, but I most certainly would call it a speech impediment, because one of the things that's different about me from you is I knew that I had trouble speaking. I could identify that I had trouble. I've talked a lot about how my father made that very clear. God damn it, they're going to kill. Okay, good. How many times do I have to cure all and fight? A lot, because I haven't been engaging with the grinding, because we haven't been using this game to talk. But I'm playing it in the morning when ostensibly I could/should. Oh, that's why I have her in the back rows, because I forgot to run a long range thing. I'm real dumb sometimes. I could/should be doing just the live sit and talk meditation-y thing, but I didn't have a specific. I didn't have the desire to sit and um, see. I didn't want to engage with the audience to that. That's what it came down to. I didn't want to engage with strangers because I don't have to if I don't want to. Not outside of my storefront, which has my that has a counter between us, which is it's an environment that I'm more familiar with, so I'm more comfortable there, and so that doesn't need to ring every time. Are they gaining experience? I really, really don't want them to be, but I don't think they are. But I'm going to emphasize that again. I really, really do not want them to be gaining experience. I started to throw a little temper tantrum about it because it affects me like that. Just Mandy for Titsa. Magnumgo for the doggone dog. All right. So she should have a restore all and a steal. And he should have poison on his bites. Fuck. We're taking Earth off of you. No, we're not. Eris! Damn it. What the fuck? Take these off, you damn slut. Navigating this menu is so slow. They could have made this much less what it is like and more like something else. Fuck. Okay, starting over. What are you wearing? You need to be wearing a long range and a steel. Why do you need to be wearing a long range? Fuck if I know. I want you to be. So you're also going to wear an all and a restore. And the reason I wanted to have a long range is because I'm not giving her an elemental spell. So, damn it, still want her to be able to do damage. Look, I have the habit as a kid of just holding down R1. I have a habit from being a kid of just holding down R1 and up. Takes less thought to run around. Doggons, yep. I need to put her in the back row. We'll get around to it. Get it, doggone. Show the world what you do when you do you. He does like a divey flippy attack. I was watching a video today about items that are overpowered in the Final Fantasy series for ideas of what to do when I've run out of ideas, which could be tonight. I don't have ideas for what I'm going to do with my content. I'm just playing the game as it exists right now. So I'm looking for ideas of like what things to show you. Like this exists in the game. You see what I'm saying? And I was watching people, I was looking in the comments, there was a section about how you can manipulate Renoa to be completely overpowered, just unfair in how powerful she is. And it's a trick I've done before, where you only give her the limit break that will spontaneously make your party invincible. So she either does a tiny amount of damage or makes you invincible. It can be greater than 50% of the time that you're invincible if you keep state or near death. And so if you just manipulate the game so that she goes invincible while she's low health, the game trivializes itself. And I've done this before because otherwise I found her utterly useless. And so it's like these RPGs, these JRPGs do have a problem with that, where it's like you have a character who's trivial, unless she's useless. And it's not always a she. The job classes, a lot of people feel like the job classes are useless unless they make the game trivial. And so for me, it's like hard to play with those. Fuck you, game, with the hitting shags over and over and over again like you're supposed to do before I can heal him. Now I gotta use resources that cost money, you fucking game. I had it queued up, they just had higher initiative. Fuck me. Now I gotta let these fuckers. I said I wanted to fight more enemies at a time. I'm sort of glad that happened, but I'm not happy that it happened when it did. Please cast that phoenix down someday. Just someday would be fantastic. Now, they should not be able to target Cloud because he was dead when they prioritized their attack queue. If this were Chrono Trigger, it would have damaged both of those. But if this is one thing, it just is not Chrono Trigger. Except for sexualizing the one female character inappropriately. Chrono Trigger did that too. Like, she speaks English. Ayla speaks English. So when the NPCs are talking to the player character about how she's got phenomenal tits and ass, she can hear it. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I don't think that women don't like hearing that we think they have phenomenal bodies, that we like their faces, that we like their tits and ass. I think what happened is that women got tired of hearing us talk about and appreciate what we like about them to people around them. They got tired of hearing it rather than it being directed in a healthy way toward them. Because, well, first of all, that's gaslighting. But second, if you're talking about how attractive a woman is to the people around her in a way that she can hear it, you're letting it get back to her in a way that makes it her responsibility to act on it. And then when you just take it from her, you're assuming that she knows what you want. And so it's setting the ground for non-consensual date shenanigans. And so I think that they got tired of hearing it. Women got tired of hearing it. I don't like hearing it. Even when it's directed to me, in the chat or in the comment section, it's not actually to me. It's on a bathroom stall that I then read. And what that's called is objectification. And I know that women got tired of being objectified because men got tired of hearing that we were objectifying them without their being able to define it. We're going for 10,000 gil is the goal right now. They couldn't, and this is why I say you shouldn't use words that you can't define. They couldn't give examples of our behavior that was objectifying them because they couldn't define what objectification, the verb, is, because they couldn't define what it means to be an object because they lack basic philosophy. This is all basic philosophical language. You're not allowed to talk about philosophy. You're not allowed to be a philosopher unless you can talk about the difference in an object and a subject. The subject is what you're talking about, and an object is anything. And so if you're objectifying a woman, what you're doing is you're making her from the subject of your love or your admiration or your lustful impulse or whatever. You're making her from the subject discussion to an object you are discussing. So what women were not complaining about, what college graduates who had taken, let's say, an antiquities course or philosophy or Psych 101 that had maybe taken women's studies or had maybe taken, I don't know, a course about Marxism, whatever, these things, what they come out with is this idea that they don't want to be objectified because the corporate world objectifies you and demeaning work objectifies you. And so they don't want to be objectified, right? But then they don't understand that there was a time when that specific, particular, and exact class of people, college-educated people who had taken a philosophy course before psychology had branched away, were concerned with being subjectified. And so I'm not saying that women were wrong. I'm saying that they didn't know how the difference in these two things. Because when you objectify a person, you passively subjectify them. When you talk about someone, you're subjectifying them. You're actively objectifying them, but you're passively subjectifying them because you're expecting them to be subject to your judgment. When you were subject, when you were a subject to a king, that meant something very recently. It still means something in parts of the world today that don't speak English. Being a subject to the King of England largely means nothing today to residents of the United Kingdom who are born speaking English. Now, if you were born in a place where the native tongue is not English, where it's something like, I don't know, Scottish, Manx, Irish, Cymru, Welsh. It was interesting. I met a guy who was hailing me from Wales, and I asked him if he was Cymru, and he said, bless you, effectively. He didn't know what that was. And so what that means is that he was born speaking English. He doesn't actually speak the land, or the language of the land, because he doesn't know that the name of the language of the land is placed where the slaves come from. Because a Wale, or a Welsh used to be a subject. It used to just mean subject, slave, object to an English person, someone that we can mistreat with very little impunity. The life price of a Welsh person was, I'm pretty sure, less than half that of an Anglo-Saxon person under the Anglo-Saxon law. Like their lives were nearly valueless, and that's how things were judged back then. There was a price on your body. You didn't have insurance, so if someone harmed you in any way, if they killed you, for example, or if they accidentally broke your hand, there was a price within the law that they were expected to pay, a recompense for the damage done. That's called damages today. That's where the term damages today in our legal language comes from. The money that you were owed in recompense for damages done. And that was a flat fee. And so for a Welsh person, it was significantly less than for an Anglo-Saxon person. Why? Because the Welsh were considered unable to enforce that price, because they were considered a slave people, a subject people. They were considered barely more than an object, subject to the whims and the pity of the Anglo-Saxon people and its crown and that crown's laws. That's how these words worked. That's how these sentences were framed. And so I might sound like my buddy, or Zell. No, I might sound like my buddy Madge, because he does it too. But if my buddy Madge is my student in any way, you can identify it by my moving past the using the words as synonyms. He's still trying to figure out how the words fit into sentences, because he doesn't read like I do, because he's a father. He doesn't have the time. He's got a very busy life. And in order for me to read in the way that I have, I've had to manipulate my life in a way that I'm encouraging you use me to learn how to manipulate your life. In fact, I have a Patreon subscriber. Hey, Mr. S, I'm talking about you in our conversation a lot last night, because I don't know if you know it, but you drop off the vine pretty fast there, buddy. Just kidding. He knows that it's late for me, and so being courteous, but he doesn't hit me with that. The latter half of the conversation, while he's thinking about it, he tries to save it for the next day, and then he ends up giving himself cognitive constipation. That works because it's alliterative, but it's also definitely what happens. And so anyway, I'm trying to give you what I used to give myself. And when I worked those brutal hours that he's working, I used to organize it so that I worked alone, or I worked on shifts that with people who weren't talkative. So, wait a minute. This is something I didn't know could happen this early in the game. Do I have to beat her? I don't know if I have to beat her. But I actually do. I kind of want her to be a semi-permanent fixture in my party. Actually, I like Yuffie a lot. Because she makes sense to carry the steel materia. She might come with the steel materia. This isn't like the chocobos. I think I have to... Okay. So what just happened? We were just attacked, basically, because you don't know who that is. We were just attacked by some chick in the woods. But she has a unique character model, so that's obviously, yeah, gonna do this. Ooh. Oh, bros and hoes. What? I can't save right here? Aha, gotcha, and you deserve it too. Hey, my money. Fuck. Wait a second, where's my money? Oh, you're funny, developers. They got me. Oh, that's funny. They put a save point there because she's like, the developers were like, you absolutely know that this is something optional and probably that optional character you've been trying to get because you've probably heard about it in the rumor mill, maybe even in a magazine, because they used to give spoilers, guys. They used to put spoilers in magazines to sell games. So when I tell you need to calm the fuck down about spoilers, I'm not being bossy. I'm telling you that some spoilers are hooks for why you should play the game. And fine, if that hook means you don't get to experience it the first time you play it, you are now in the experience of having played the game a second time for the first time, and that's fucking cool. You don't have to suspend your disbelief that you don't know anything else but that detail of the game. And that's the exact experience I'm showing you right now. It's pretty fun, actually, to pretend like you don't know, or to have taken long enough away from the game in actual time, actual linear time, that you don't remember enough that it's, you know, it's like hooking up with a girl after 10 years. Her body's changed. Your body has changed. You forgot what she looked like when she was that young. You now have the confidence to just enjoy the experience. These are not, I'm being lewd maybe, but I'm not being funny. And if I'm talking to an audience that's under the age of 25, you need to understand that you will get good. And that if she's cheating on you with an older man, that you will be an older man someday. So just hold on to your fucking panties and enjoy being the age you are now, even if that comes with grueling hours of work. Because what you can do is be thankful that you're not, I don't know, a Periclean Athenian. Because you wouldn't even be allowed to have that girlfriend. You wouldn't even be allowed to be working toward a fully developed adult life until you were in your 30s. You would be spending too much time in military service. Compulsory military service, not enforced, but certainly compulsory. They weren't going to hunt you down if you decided to abandon your demos and your family and not serve in the military. You were just an outcast now. That's a shitload of AP. We like that fight. They almost got me with it again. I started to walk over to that save point. Man, I can't believe I lost. I didn't know I could find her this early in the game. You spiky-headed jerk. One more time. Let's go one more time. I'm not interested. Thinking of running away? Stay and fight. Fight, I said. I'm going to talk to Tita. Shags, do you know her? No, I don't know her. Doggone, you don't see one like that every day. I don't know how he talks. I'll figure it out. Come on, what's the matter? You're pretty scared of me, huh? Yes, I'm petrified of you. Just as I thought. What do you expect with my skills? Good luck to you guys, too. If you feel up to it, we can go another round. Later. I'm gonna leave, I mean it. Go ahead. Oh, yeah? You do whatever you want. She's gone. What's with her? Oh. I chose the wrong... Damn it. I called her bluff too many times. It's fine. We're here to grind AP. We weren't here specifically to find whoever that is. It's Yuffie. We want her. You are. We're pretending this is the first time, but you are playing with an experienced player. I mean, I can't act like I've not beaten this game twice on some level. Like things like that are going to happen, and my emotional response is going to be, "Oh, neat! I'm going to spoil this for you." I'm not even embarrassed about it, but I am absolutely that guy that when you watch I show you a TV show for the first time, or like I show you a song for the first time, I'm absolutely that guy's going to be like, "Oh, you're going to love this part." Not because I'm insecure about whether you're enjoying it or not, but because I'm having a good time and I like this part. I'm absolutely it's going to be this part. That guy that's going to be like, "Oh, I love this part." And I'm absolutely a joke repeater in the theater. I don't give a fuck. The Neebs guys were talking about how these are their pet peeves when it comes to going to the theater and why they no longer go out in public to watch movies while they'll just wait for it to stream. And it's like, I'm not even embarrassed. I do all those things. Those right there are called communal experiences. They're called sharing a communal experience. Transmitting this moment from me to you. I love this thing that we're experiencing, and I'm not going to pretend like I don't love it because you want to pretend like you're experiencing it alone. Go fuck yourself. You're not experiencing it alone. If you wanted to experience Final Fantasy VII alone, you're doing it wrong. You're just going about it all the wrong way. It's free right now on Play Pass. I'm not joking. What did I just get? Somebody just got a limit break or something. Ah, he got Lunatic High. Great news. That reminds me of why I came in here and forgot last time. We want... Oh my God, I wish these organized automatically. Just organize yourselves automatically. Why do I have to micromanage you? Because your items that have been thrown in a backpack and nobody took the time to organize it? Why? Look, they're in the backpack. Magnum Go, Eris are in the backpack. Oops. Right now. Why can't they be sorting it? Questions I don't have the answer to. I'm not pretending to be agitated. I'm actually agitated about that. Damn it. I'm so bad at that one. Or maybe I'm good at it. I'm consistently hitting the same spot, which means that I'm listening to the sound and not realizing it. And this is where I'm hitting it. It needs to be the whatever is the next sound after that. Is what I need to hit it at. Swang! Other people get good at video games by knowing these things, like knowing timings and stuff. Knowing the delay on the knowing the delay on the Bluetooth. We leveled up our all material. We're at 7,600 gil. We are 76 we are 765.765 76.5% of the way toward our goal of 10,000. And if we get whoever that chick is with the cool looking weapon and the unique character skin, who's maybe that's a new party member if we do something right. If we get her along the way, that'd be cool. If we don't, that's also cool. Fine. Less than cool. It's fine. But next time we fight her, we are pretty sure we know how to get her. Unless I'm just a dumbass and decide to try one of the other dialogue options. Like I don't know what's going to happen. Diddle diddy. Oh, I. Diddle 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 diddle. Nope. I was behind it anyway. I must. It's entirely possible that what I'm about to say is entirely true. I must, as a child, have been less annoyed by casting the cure spell in just standard combat, or I just ground to like I was level 25 right here, so that these fights were just utterly trivial. Because I feel like I'm healing a lot. I also feel like I do that every turn. Good job, Titsa. You aren't only good for your tits. You've got phenomenal legs. I mean, you're a great kicker. What I should have said is you're a great kisser. I mean, I love your lips. But I didn't want to do the liar liar bit because I'm not. See, here's the thing. I'm not only trying to reference things. I try to reference things to let you get a taste of my personality. But like Jim Carrey is something that is a huge influence on me. He was a huge influence on everybody in my age group. But what I'm trying very hard to be mindful of is to not do his jokes because everybody just steals his jokes because they forget that they saw them in a movie just because they forget that they're not common idiom. They are his references like well, alrighty then aren't just it's not just that they're common idiom, it's the way he said it. And the way he said it, damn it, is his art. And so if we're gonna spend all this time pissing and moaning about AI stealing people's art, we have to remember that the way people say their catchphrase is their art. That's why it's their catchphrase. And so if everybody on the internet, all these short comedians are just doing Jim Carrey bits, if they're just, well, I'm going to do a Jim Carrey character. Jim Carrey is both a real person and a living artist. That's called cliche, trope, and theft. So I try to avoid it. Even when I say, I refer to his references because of their commonality, their wide familiarity. I really do try to avoid saying it the way he does. And this is where homage becomes personal art. I try to be clever with it and make a spin on it like I did there. And here's the difference in gaslighting and positive critique. Positive critique gives you a suggested win. If somebody tells you, I don't like when you do that, and they don't tell you how they would prefer you do it, they're gaslighting you. Yay! You get to see Somersault, and maybe she'll level up her limit break. And I forgot that they have hypers and that I was trying to level up their limit break, so I've been skipping doggons like I'm going to use his thing on a boss. Man, habits are something that you've done more than 50 times without interrupting, and habits die hard. That's why ancient philosophers spent so much time talking about them, and they spent so much time thinking about the necessity of cultivating good ones. I'm going to sit here and burn my arm in the sun as it's coming down through the... Can I create a shadow? Yeah, key. Okay. Yay! He doesn't have a heel. She gonna kill that damn weed anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Goodbye, sir. There are people I would have preferred to have known in that time, but I knew you. And now I will never know you again. Uh-oh. So when I was talking about subject and object, there's this other philosophical concept that's tangled up in that called particular. And I don't know if you've ever had a girlfriend, or if you have a younger sister, or a mother, or if you've ever seen a human female before in your life. I don't know why I'm toying with that. But human females have this tendency. I need to swap out my headphones. I'm just going to toy with whether the one that was already in there was charging or not. And it's like, you need to swap them out, homie, not spectacate them. But women have this interesting habit, this interestingly human habit of wanting to be recognized and acknowledged as a particular human. And so the damage that's actually being done, you might think, well, there's no harm in being done and telling my friend and hearing range of this woman that I'm saying is attractive and that I would like to sleep with. There's no harm being done there. The harm being done there is that you are not treating her like a particular woman. You, as a man who's not concerned with being a particular man, the particular man that she's sleeping with, for example, you aren't concerned with her talking to her friends about how she would like to sleep with you because you see that as what it is. Permission to come over to her and ask her to sleep with you. Nothing wrong with that. She is objectifying and um, subjectifying you because you as a man, you as the man, have the power of body and of society to shrug it off. You don't identify as a particular man. If you identify as a man at all. It's because your mothers didn't teach you to identify as particular men. They taught you to identify as part of the family, part of the tribe, part of the United States. They taught you to identify as the woman who allows you to sleep with her if she chooses you to be her steady partner, to be her particular man, and for her to choose that, and for you to be passive in that role. And so we've been discussing, you don't identify it as harm because they've taught you to shrug it off. But what we've been talking about, remember, we've been talking about gaslighting and getting you to think things without knowing you're thinking about them. So that means you need to be doing the human thing and identifying as a particular person, so that when they do that, you can go, hey, now wait a minute, I am like that. Don't do that. And then you choose another girl. And see that is what marks you as a man. Is choosing a different girl, not just sleeping with the first girl that shows interest in you because she showed interest in you. I know this because if there was a mistake that I made over and over and over again until this homelessness, it was letting the women pick me. And that's why I choose the homelessness in the way that I do, because they'll just ghost me, they'll reject me outright for knowing that I am what I am and live how I do, the same way that men do, the same way you do. That's why I don't check to see if that Cash App notification I have up there is a tip, because those people might not want anyone to associate the fact that, or be associated with the fact that they're helping me. They might not want anyone to know because they don't want to be rejected by proxy. That happens. Rejection by proxy is what cancel culture was. And we're at an hour and it's real fucking hot in here all of a sudden. My fan is no longer winning, and turning that shadow on my arm is not helping. So let's get some rest. Because we accomplished our 10,000 goal. That's what we wanted to do. So I know that that's not exactly a satisfying video, but we did an hour. I like to do an hour on my morning meditations. I would normally open the floor to the audience. I don't have a sitting audience right now, so I'm not incentivized to stay. I want to know what that notification is, and it's hot. I need to put on clothes, and I need to go about my errands, which include buying weed. I talked about that. I'm honest about this. I'm going to go buy weed to nullify my weed anxiety, and then I'm going to get back to the Panera, get charged, and I promised Mr. S I would have Dead Cells uploaded. So I'm going to upload Dead Cells instead of playing anything, which means that I'm going to end up playing bullshit mobile games. So I might just go. I might be dead and or not dead, but we might be radio dead until maybe 6 tonight. Maybe sometime after 5. So that's why I opened this, saying that my time management sucked. If I had gotten to this, if I had just rolled over when I woke up, turned this on and just got started instead of being like, I just don't feel like going through the annoying bullshit that is YouTube always crashing and typing on my phone while it's on my uh, tripod, because I put it in the tripod and then start it. It's just, if I didn't spend 3 hours talking myself through the annoying stuff, that's demands that gets between me, my pathological demand avoidance, and you, um, we wouldn't be talking about my time management sucking today. But also, um, today would have just played out differently, and we don't regret how our days play out because we make the choices that we make. And if we regret our choices, then we have to change them in the future. And I don't know that I really plan to change the fact that I spend so much time working on what I don't feel like. That's my pathological demand avoidance and my ADHD working together. I have no control over that. So anyway, I see you there. Thank you for stopping in. Thank the two of you for stopping in right as I was saying my goodbyes. It's great to see you. If you hit that little like button, it'll let you know when this is uploaded, and you can find it later to see the whole thing. Thank you for being here. Until next time, I have been Shaggy. I am Phil Alitea,